Okay, guys, I have been chastised enough for not giving enough leeway, enough lead time to trading the FOMC release with us on Wednesday. And so, plenty of time for this week's release. This is a day before. If you want to come try to make $1,000 with us alongside of us tomorrow morning as we trade the FOMC, I'm going to show you how we do it, what we're looking to do, and give you the opportunity to join along with it. Okay, so let's just talk about the concept, first of all, of trading on FOMC Wednesdays. It's very, very interesting, the mental strategies and approaches that different traders use. And of course, there's not one right way to do things. That's one of the challenges, frankly, with trading, is that there are so many ways to get to your end goal, which is profits. So many different strategies, setups, approaches to managing those trades. And where I'm going with this is that there are a lot of traders that I respect, a lot of solid traders, a lot of very knowledgeable traders that literally are taking Wednesdays off. They don't trade FOMC days. The reasons for that are obviously fairly well understood. There's going to be a lot of erratic potential movement, a lot of volatility. IV is going to be bouncing around. So they just take the day off. For us as traders, the number one thing that we look for is price action, movement, and good IV. That's the main thing. We look, as traders, we don't care what the market's doing. We don't care whether it goes up or down. And so for us, all we're really looking for is action. We're just looking for movement. And FOMC brings that. So for us, FOMC is absolutely a blessing, and it's something that we look forward to. This is something that we've been talking about since Friday of last week in our trading room. And so we're very excited about it. Everybody, of course, has a different portfolio size and different goals and aspirations and time frames that they can commit to trading. Some of our members can't trade all day long. So everybody, of course, is in a different situation. But we kind of just set an overall overreaching goal of, hey, let's see if we can at least bring in $1,000 today on our primary trades that are FOMC driven. Okay, now we have 30 plus trades, 32 trades, I think, going on right now in our live trading room. And we most certainly will be taking profits, adjusting, closing. We'll be doing something with a lot of those tomorrow as the markets ebb and flow with FOMC. That's not really what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is our sort of FOMC focused trades. And I want to share those with you here so that whether you trade with us or not, you can go to these training videos that we have here on the YouTube channel. You can see, without joining us, if you don't want to join and trade with us, you can go see exactly what we're going to be doing tomorrow. So you'll know what we're doing if you want to try to go out and do it on your own. So there's 5 main drivers that we focus on for tomorrow. Now, number one is our NQ in the money cover 1 DTE trade setup. It's a big mouthful, I know. It's a solid trade for us. Generally, we look to bring in about $200 a day on this particular setup. We've already set up 2/3 of the cover portion of this trade for tomorrow. So if you are seeing this video late Tuesday night or even Wednesday morning before FOMC comes out, you still probably have time here to set these up. As long as you're getting these positions on prior to the FOMC release, you're probably going to be pretty close. There's going to be a little theta erosion there, but you'll probably be pretty close. But we've got 2/3 of them on right now. We've already brought in about $820 credit on this. Now you may say, geez, you're almost there to your $1,000 goal. Well, we are going to get that $820 credit, but it is a somewhat directional trade as well. So it's not a guarantee that it all ends up in our pocket, but we are quite a ways there already to our goal. I think that it should be fairly easy to get another maybe $200 or $250 on top of this into our trade tomorrow, should we need the additional cover. There is about 100 points. And again, if you're not familiar with our In the Money NQ trade, go to our website, search that here go to our YouTube channel here. You're already at the YouTube channel. Search it for the NQ trade. It'll give you a little bit of an idea. But we've got 100 points of downside potential here in that. We get $20 a point. So there is potentially another $2,000. I'll just kind of put that in parentheses because we don't know if we're going to get that or not. But there is a potential $2,000 additional profit on that NQ trade as we go down. So that combined with our credit that we already have brought in, we just sold those here after the cash close on Tuesday here as the market's closed. And I think that we could bring in another 200 to maybe 250 of potential credit on the third portion of our cover here. That would be a put spread should we need it. So I think that we're well positioned here. This should do a lot of our heavy lifting for us tomorrow into our trade. We love our zero DTEs on FOMC day. So again, especially if you are a part of a trading room where all they do are, first of all, if you're in a trading room that only gives you zero DTEs, stop paying them money. Stop subscribing to a program like that is, I'm just going to say it, they're ripping you off. You're not getting value for whatever you're paying. No professional trader trades one singular strategy, and that strategy is a day trade. Like, what professional trader's like, yeah, I day trade for a living. I have one setup that I use over and over. It's ridiculous, right? So especially if you're using butterflies and you're just basically gambling. So we love the zero DTE. If there is a trade that you say, what could make me the most amount of money in the least amount of time, that's a day trade. It's always been a day trade. But it needs to be part of a more dynamic, cohesive overall system rather than a standalone trade. So a lot of zero DTE traders will take off FOMC day because it can be a little tough. We actually double up on that. So a couple of things. Number one, we're going to try to get 2 SPX trades out of the market tomorrow. So what you generally have is a lot of sticky theta in the morning, a fairly contained movement in the morning as the market just kind of sits there and positions and gets ready for FOMC, right? And then all heck breaks loose with FOMC, and then you go into the close. So we start the day with a zero DTE on the SPX, very asymmetric in nature. It could be a butterfly, it could be a broken wing butterfly, it could be a chicken iron condor, it could be a straddle. But a credit straddle. But it's something that's very asymmetric in nature and something that has the absolute most potential theta erosion out there. So we generally go a little bit wider on our spread sizes, things like that. We're trying to get as much profit in as short a time frame as possible. So a lot of days today, we ran an NDX zero DTE. We made $1,600 on our NDX zero DTE today. it was a nail biter. We had to work it all day long, and we had to run it all the way into the close. We had to take it to expiration to get that profit. It was a nail biter. That's not what this trade is. This trade is put on right away, first thing in the morning. Sometimes we're looking for a 20-30% capture on this. We're just looking to get in and get out. This is just a quick cash grab to get things rolling for us in the day and to potentially bring in $150 to $200 of profit. This $150 to $200 of potential profits can be really key here in just a second when we get down to these trades. Okay, so we start off the day with an SPX trade, 0 DTE. Hopefully we can book a profit fairly quickly. When I say quickly, I say within the first couple of hours. And then we sit on our hands. Take a break, take a long lunch break, do whatever you're going to do, and then we wait for FOMC. Now, sometimes when the FOMC minutes hit, we will start to slowly scale into a position. Sometimes. A lot of times we're going to wait a half hour after FOMC minutes have been released. We're going to wait for Powell to start speaking, and we're going to wait for him to get 10 to 15 minutes into his 45 minute long speech. Okay. Generally speaking, it is Powell's speech, not the release of the FOMC minutes, that triggers the algos and starts pushing the markets in different directions. Okay. So we're going to wait for that. And then we're going to put another SPX trade on, our second go around on SPX. And then probably 30 minutes or so, 30 minutes before the close, we're going to look to see if we can get an entry on the NDX. Usually premium's always a lot more sticky on the NDX than the SPX. It's a lot stickier on FOMC days. So we can usually wait until 40 minutes, 30 minutes before the close and still get a pretty decent risk reward ratio on an NDX setup. So we're trying to get maybe 3 0 DTEs in on FOMC days. Now, again, you just never know on these what you're going to get because you largely don't know how much of a capture rate you could potentially get. And we always want to, hope for the best, but expect the worst, right? So we're never looking at these trades and going, oh, we're going to get 100% capture on these. But if we were to get, say, a 60 to 70% capture on these, that's really easy on the SPX. It's a little harder on the NDX. But if we were to get a 60, 70% capture on these, we're probably going to be looking at somewhere around $900 of potential profit on the 0 DTEs. Okay. Number 3, Theta Ferry. Now, the Theta Ferry trade takes about $12,000 of buying power. So we are sticklers of properly positioned sizing. I have about a $400,000 account that I trade. So I trade about three to five of these contracts. Our profit goal on the Theta Ferry is $100 per contract. Okay. So we do have one that is already up and running that we put on right after the close, but we've got to open working order as well for another one. And so I would have, if everything hit, if all of my trades filled tonight, I would have 4 contracts on there. I would have the potential for $400 of profit. It could be anywhere between $100 for one contract, and we have members that trade 20 contracts. They're looking for $2,000 a day on the Theta Ferry. It just, depends on how much capital you have to work with. Okay, so let's talk about these trades now. These are really interesting trades because Number one, they're incredibly asymmetric in nature, being able to make 10 times your money back. But more importantly, you hear that phrase all the time, right? With zero DTE rooms that trade butterflies. Oh, you can make 1,000% return today. Yeah, big whoop. You're putting $70 into a trade, Nobody is getting rich on butterflies because they're 15% probability of success trades. So, who's going to go put substantive amounts of money into a 15% probability trade? Nobody's going to go put 10 grand in a trade that works 15% of the time, right? Be great mentally to think about putting 10 grand in a trade that can 10 times your money. I mean, that'd be amazing, but it's just an illogical trade, right? So what we do here, we will look for, we don't always get these on, but we will look for a $50, we just call it a prop bet, $50 prop bet directionally. If the Fed announcement comes out and we feel like we're going to get some decent movement, we will take $50 out of here, out of our profits, and we'll just go buy a directional call or put. We will just simply spend $50 on a long call or a long put, zero DTE, and let it run. Just let it run. If it hits, you're usually going to be somewhere between a $200 to a $400 profit. Okay, that's your potential. If, the big key here, if, right? If it doesn't hit, who cares? Because the only thing we put into this trade are profits, okay? Same deal down here. We're going to find a butterfly that has a 1 to 4 to as much as a 1 to 10 risk reward ratio. Put in, and this could be an expensive trade. This could be a $250 trade. So it could be expensive. This number is going to be relevant to what we make up here because, once again, this money going into this butterfly is coming out of our profits up here. We have never lost, as a group, cumulatively, a single penny of our principal in a butterfly trade. We've never, ever lost a single penny of our principal in a butterfly trade. Now, sounds more impressive than it is. The reason why that is the case, we don't put any in. We simply will never, ever put our own hard-earned money in a trade that works 15% of the time. I'm just not going to do it. If you want to be a gambler, go to one of these many places that trade zero DTEs with butterflies. If you want to gamble, they'll gamble with you all day long. That's all you're doing is just throwing bets out there, okay? The only thing we're putting in that butterfly are profits from our previous trades earlier in the day. That's the only thing that goes in there, okay? So the only thing at risk here are profits. Now, let me tell you the two reasons why that's so critical and so important. Number one, it's a trade that works 15% of the time, right? So you will hear these zero DTE rooms hype this up. Well, you can make 1,000% return. Yeah, you can, but it only happens 15% of the time. And so, number one, we don't want our principal in a trade that only works 15% of the time. We are going to put just profits in there. But maybe more importantly, number two, to get these kinds of returns, usually, not always, but usually you need to take that butterfly all the way to expiration. And what happens so many times is that you put, let's just use some simple round numbers. You put $100 in this trade and you're like, okay, it's profit. So if it doesn't work, that's fine. If it does, that's great. But all of a sudden, I don't care. Who cares? It's not a big deal. Well, all of a sudden, as we get closer to the close and that trade starts to work, your $100 now turns into $400. and you look at that trade and you're like, okay, so this trade has the potential to make me 1,000, but that's not a guarantee. But if I close it right now, I lock in a $400 gain. You know what you're going to do? You know what I'm going to do? Because I do it all the time. You're going to take the guarantee, right? You're going to take the bird in the hand, and you're going to take the $400 profit versus looking to try to shoot for the $1,000 profit. The only way you can ever really get these 10-to-1, 12-to-1 ratio risk-reward profits is to let the darn thing go all the way to expiration. And the only way you can ever feel comfortable, at least for me, feel comfortable emotionally to let that happen is knowing that that money that you put in initially, it's just profits. The very worst thing that can happen to this trade is that you just reduce your overall profit on the day. Same thing here. The worst thing that can happen with this trade, not that neither one of these trades can ever cause a loss. Neither one of these trades ever can cause a loss for us. All they can do, if they don't work, is reduce our overall profit on the day. Okay? So those are the 5 trades that we're going to be focusing on tomorrow as we get started trading. We would love to have you come trade with us. I think you're going to be blown away by what we do. I really, really think that you will find that we are the highest value live trading room online today. I love it when we have just, well, I was in the Chicago pits. I was a professional trader for 12 years, blah, blah, blah. And they come in and they're like, so what's this trade? I've never seen this trade before. We're going to have trades that are going to be new to you. A lot of our trades, I say they're proprietary. No trade is proprietary, right? Nobody's invented a special trade. But they're sort of proprietary in the nature that you're not going to see them anywhere else. You're going to come in here and you're going to find some unique setups. So we'd love to have you come trade with us. Hit me up if you have any questions, but I'd love to chat with you guys before FOMC tomorrow, and we can follow up and see how our day went. So hope you guys have a good FOMC regardless, one way or the other. Let me know how your trading day goes.